And thank you very much for joining us here on PM Express. On the show tonight, we are looking at the latest phase on the ballot in December. That is the face you see there. And she is the PPP's presidential candidate. A very interesting choice indeed for the party. On the back of Dr. Pakwesi Ndom, we're getting to be introduced to the entrepreneur, empowerment coach, politician, former business executive, and of course a beauty queen. I mean, that is Madam Bridget Dzogbenuku, who is my guest tonight. What more do we know about her? We know that she was, of course, a running mate of the PPP's presidential candidate in the 2016 election. So you could say this is a natural progression for her, but also very importantly, this was one of those key areas for the party going forward, being progressive in its thinking as far as giving that ultimate position to a female absolutely qualified to be in this position. A vision, as she says, is to build an inclusive government that would tap into the expertise of everyone. I mean, how do you do this, though? I mean, how do you move this from rhetoric to action? We've had this before. We're going to tap into how she plans to make this into reality when others have not exactly achieved this particular objective. So a bit more about what we know about her. Of course, University of Ghana graduate, a certified empowerment trainer. She went to Wesley Girls Senior High School, and I'm pretty sure that many women out there, all students of Wesley Girls Senior High School, proud that she's taking on this challenging role for a political party. And of course, if you look at the numbers in terms of the voting in the last elections and the one before, you see that the PPP is actually, if there's any party you can describe as a third force, the PPP just emerged and appears to be doing very well. Of course, in the low 1%, but still in that strong third position. So it's a significant position for a woman to occupy, and anybody else, in fact, to do indeed occupy. Now, she's also first general manager of Aviation Social Center. You pass by that building every day. She used to be there for a long time, if my estimation is right, for more than a decade. Previously worked with the Ashanti Goldfields as a liaison officer in the Dar es Salaam and Tanzania offices, and prior to that as a brand manager with SC Johnson. This clearly shows you that she has a strong track record when it comes to management, and how do you translate that into a political position such as she will hold for the PPP? And she's with me in the studio currently. I'm grateful that you could join us here on PM Express, Madam Dzogbenuku. So you obviously put yourself in this position. I wonder why. What was inspiration? Did the taste of being there last 4 years sort of get you convinced that this is a slot that I could take?
Well, first of all, I'd like to say good evening to you and good evening to your listeners and your viewers. I've heard a lot about you. I'm happy to be here.
I'm happy that you're on my show as well.
Have a conversation with you. And there was something important that you left out, or was left out of my profile. I'm also a Jomi seller. I sell palm oil made by women. I don't know why that was left out, but that's also something.
Is it the front page?
No, it's in the Afajatu
South District, yes.
From my women in my hometown, V. So that is very, very important. It shouldn't ever be left out.
It's important to emphasize that. So you're a grounds person. You are hands-on.
Yes, I like my food.
Boots on the ground.
Yes,
that kind of thing.
I like my food, and I like to work with the people who produce it. So these are the women who produce my jomi for me, and
is that your base, though? I'm curious. Is that demographic your main base? I mean, the ordinary person, so to speak.
Well, my ordinary person is in many, many, many places. I mean, I do all kinds of things ordinary. So yes, I was brought up to appreciate where I come from. So this is where I come from, and it happens that they have this very unique and important resource that comes from there. It was being done in a very small way, but now with my help and with, well, working together with them, we're trying to do something, make a name out of it. We want people to know that out of that place comes the best journey you can get in Ghana.
Well, we'll interrogate that a bit more and see what's the link between that and trying to be a president of a republic. It's a huge leap there. But back to the initial question, what was it that motivated you to put yourself up for this position?
Well, as you said, I ran as presidential candidate in 2016 with Dr. Endo. And now that he's unable to run, I thought that it stood to order that, or to reason that if I was vice presidential candidate, if he had been president and he was, for any reason, he was unable to be, I would step in as we've had in the past in our history. So I thought that, of course, it took a bit of asking and giving it some thoughts, but I thought it was a good idea to do, so I did.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, so that's a basic inspiration, but there should be more if you want to be president. Stay with me. When we return, we'll find what that is. And thank you for staying with us. This is PM Express. My guest in the studio is Madame Dzogbenuku Bridget. She is the presidential aspirant, not a candidate yet. That's a flag bearer of the PPP, the Progressive People's Party. And remember, I hesitated when as a candidate because until you file and your nomination papers are accepted, and she will be very abreast of what I'm saying because in 2016. She was nearly missing that particular train until the court intervened, correct?
Yes.
Yourself and...
Dr. Hendon was on the ballot, yes. Yeah. I was the vice presidential
candidate. And initially, I think your candidate, both Dr. Hendon and yourself, there's a challenge with it that you challenged in court in 2016.
He was disqualified. The party was disqualified and taken off the ballot paper. Yeah. So yes, we went and challenged it in court, and it went up to the Supreme Court. And it was reviewed and we were put back on the ballot. Okay.
Definitely, you don't hope that what happened last year will happen again. But today I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
We learned our lessons going forward. Okay. If it was about filling a form, which, you know, is debatable, we will make sure we do the right thing this time.
Talking about that, the Electoral Commission today had laid out the modalities for filing nominations. You would have to cough up 100,000 CDs just to file. Last year, last 4 years, it was 50,000. Your reaction to that?
I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I was actually listening to other debaters on the issue, and if you're expecting us to come up with 100,000 CDs, then we are still going around the same issue of monetizing our politics and politics based in, you know, determined by money. And therefore, if one can't afford that filing fee, then it disqualifies them, even if they are capable of being candidates and being president. So I think that should be looked at, and hopefully we hope that it will be reviewed. But even 50,000 then was a great deal of money. So 100,000 is completely ridiculous. But, well, we hope that most times the CSOs come and say something and speak about it. And I think that they've already talked about how politics is monetized. If somebody is going to raise 100,000 to file to be on a ballot paper or to lead a political party, they must find that money. And that is when we start turning to all kinds of people to fund us who will ask for their pound of flesh after the elections. And we already have that problem where all kinds of people have funded the party. And of course, they fund the party because they want something back at the end of the election. So they must look at it, because the more and more we demand from the political parties and their flag bearers huge amounts of money, the more we dig our own democracy into the ground and find ways that leaders of political parties are corrupt.
You can't afford 100,000 seats?
Personally, no.
You cannot?
No, I can't. That is the truth. I mean, everybody, I can't afford 100,000 CDs. I'm not into politics because I'm rich. Actually, on the contrary, I would want everybody who is like me in Ghana to say, I can lead a political party and I can, you know, bring changes to our politics and our democracy in this country. I cannot afford 100,000 cedis, no.
But you are just a presidential candidate of a political party, so there's
Yes.
a party that is going to be footing that bill, not from your own personal pocket.
Yes,
I'm assuming.
but you are asking me if I cannot. I cannot.
But the party can.
Possibly, we can raise it. We hope that Ghanaians will believe in what we are bringing, and if we go cap in hand or we go Momo as one city, I hope that people will be willing to do that, because we will do that. We will raise funds from everybody, including you, if you can give us that, you know, little help, believing in what we want to do. We hope that we can get it from you. But we, as you call us, small parties, we've not been in government before.
You accept you're small?
Of course we're small. We are a minor party compared to the other two who have been in government and therefore have had access to those resources. And we know, I mean, the history has shown that political parties that have been in power have had access to the resources of the state. And that is something we must look at. We don't.
I will interrogate it a bit more, but just to finish up on this filing fee conversation, the argument has been that if you cannot afford 100,000, you have no business seeking to be a president.
That is not true. Why should we link why should we put aside all the other qualities and values that someone might bring on board and reduce it to just money? Then we have monetized our
Democracy
politics.
is expensive.
Well, democracy is not expensive. Democracy, as we play it in these parts, is.
In the US, it is.
Yes.
In the UK, it is.
Yes.
In Ghana, it must be.
Barack Obama became the president of the greatest country at the time on earth, and he didn't take out 100,000 or whatever money he was supposed to use from his own pockets. He raised it from the people who believed in his ideals and in his policies. So let's go to the people and say, do you believe in us? Come with us and help us and let's get there. It doesn't have to come from us. And that is why, you see, when you have these expectations of the political parties, that is where you introduce corruption. Because they're going to go to people who will always come back and come for deals. And sometimes some of these parties then go outside and raise funds from companies or organizations from the outside who then come and try to do business with us. And then we sign all kinds of shoddy deals with them and cuts the Ghanaian short.
Yeah, I mean, the argument, on the flip side of the argument is that if the person can't afford 100,000, he's possibly coming in to make money. But if the person already has the money, he then doesn't need ours.
Well, hasn't proven that way, has it? All those who have been able to afford our filing fees and have been in office, what have they done? Haven't we seen the deals that they've signed? Haven't we seen the level of corruption with the people in the party? Don't you actually want someone who lives modestly to lead you because they know how to, they would expect to remain and continue to live modestly, but you actually want someone who knows how to
I mean, you're going to be
money.
in control of the vast resources of this country, and you can't afford 100,000 cedis. That's, I'm saying, will be if you see 1 billion, which you see a lot as president, how do you handle that?
Well, there are people who have been able to afford, and they've seen 1 billion and taken that too. So they are probably the ones who have the taste for the big things or the bigger things in life. And the fact that you're going to be in control of the resources. And you see, when you say we are going to be in control, I think if I should go there, we don't believe that we must be in power and therefore we should be in control of all the resources. We believe in sharing the power with the people.
Sharing the power?
Sharing the power with the people.
Utopian idea.
It's not utopian. Why do you think it's utopian?
Which power are you sharing? With whom?
We believe in the local governments. We believe in actually voting for our DCs and MMDCs to be in power. What is utopian about that?
Oh, but if that's what you're saying, then that is not new. That is something that this current president tried, nearly succeeded.
How did he nearly succeed?
He nearly got the vote. We were nearly there. In fact, there was a referendum that he pulled back on.
Why did he pull back?
Because of political divisions, I suppose.
And the political divisions still exist. If he pulled back because of political divisions, he didn't pull back because of political divisions. He pulled back because the votes were not going to go his way. And he said, well, because we watched that whole thing up. The referendum was not about whether we were voting along political lines. It was whether we wanted to vote for our own DCs or not. Yeah, and we wanted to vote for our own
But everybody
DCs.
agrees. All the parties agree. There's a question about how to get there.
Yes, but it doesn't have to,
that they disagreed on.
The division is actually when we vote along political lines. That's where there's a division. If we decide that anybody who's anybody can just decide and say, look, I want to run, vote for me as your DCE. It doesn't matter if I belong to the ruling party or to the opposition. Vote for me because I am capable of delivering. That would have gone well. We would have all gone and voted and we would have had our own MMDCs now. Why do we decide if we want to do it along political lines? And then you still have this division, which the whole country is already polarized along the lines of these two parties. And we want to continue in that manner? No.
Well, so the PPP's position is vote for your DCEs, but that election, once it happens, will not be on party lines.
It won't be along party lines, no.
Okay, so you're simply voting if John Mensah is a guy, just vote for John Mensah regardless. But you know that will be a front. The parties will still be in the game. In fact, that is why this government wanted to confront that reality now, because it's almost as if you're going to bury your head in the sand like a proverbial ostrich and say, oh, well, vote for the individual when you know the parties are there sponsoring people in the shadows.
But you do know that there are still people who don't want these two parties, who don't belong to any of the sides of these two parties. And they are not standalones. They also have a following. There are people who actually believe that, you know what, we don't want to be NDC and PP. We just want the PPP, for example. And whilst they may not run along party lines, they will run as individuals, believing in their own steam. And they will have followers who will vote for them in that regard. When you put it along party lines, we go back to the same thing. You're going to monetize the politics. The party in power, of course, supports their people, goes around giving money to people to vote for this one person. And of course, it's influenced by money. Yeah,
which will happen in the case if you win and you implement the elections from MMDCs without making it formally that the party should be engaged.
Well,
the advantage, you don't see the advantage. The advantage in making it legal for parties to be engaged is so you can regulate it. Now the way it is at the assembly level, parties are sponsoring it. They deny that they are not.
You know, why don't you put it there and let us try it? And if it doesn't work, we know it didn't work. But you didn't give Ghanaians the opportunity at all. You just decided it's not going my way, so we're not going to do it. You didn't give Ghanaians the opportunity. You haven't tried it. Try it and let's see that it's not working. Oh, you know, it's always a start. There's always something that we start and then we tweak around. But when you say you are not going to do it because people don't agree, we did agree that we wanted to vote our own MMDCs and DCs. But that is what they made it sound, that we didn't agree. We wanted to vote these people into power for ourselves. The only thing we didn't agree with was that it shouldn't be along party lines. And if all the people are saying, we don't want it along party lines, or most of the people are saying, why do you say we're not going to do it anymore? So let's do it as the people want. Let's go with a referendum. Let's vote. And then if it's not working, down the line, we have the opportunity to sit down and say, can we relook at this system?
So this whole conversation started with you saying you will share power. And so the concept of power sharing is to get a DCs elected, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee sharing of power, does it? I mean, all that is going to happen is a DC will be elected by the people, but the DC will still rely on the center for funds to run the district.
Yes.
So you still hold all the power.
Okay. So if the DC is reporting to the center or coming to the center for funds, and he's not getting his funds, he's at liberty to say, look, the central government is not funding me because and you see, it's not only there, that's not the only source of funds. The DC is at liberty to implement his own programs to raise funds in his district. And it doesn't go against his party's wishes or desires. The DC is capable of, you know, raising funds from the various industries or the various economic activities in his districts. But if you say that all the money is not going to come from the central government, you are empowering the people to generate their own funds. And of course, I'm sure it will be supplemented with money from the central government.
You're actually going to cripple the assembly stand because where's the funding in local level for them to generate their own funds? It's pretty minimal.
Where is the funding?
Internal revenue generation for the assemblies, pretty minimal.
Why is it pretty minimal?
I mean, it's a reason why we have the District Assembly Common Fund. That whole concept is an admission that if you leave it to the District Assemblies themselves to do, they aren't going to get enough to bring the real development people need. It costs a lot to construct a road.
It costs a lot to construct a road, yes. It doesn't mean that they are not going to get anything at all from the government. But the point is, let's make people work. It is possible. All the districts have financially, economically viable, the word sounds coming to me, viable activities in their districts. They have marketplaces, you have various things that you charge for. You can charge for them.
But they do now. They still do.
Well, they do.
In fact, the problem is corruption. Because if you read the Auditor General's report every year, the locally generated funds.
The problem is corruption because these people are still beholden to the central government. Now,
and you say if you leave them alone, the corruption will cease.
It won't. Well, it will be minimized.
How?
Because you see,
what's the link between the person being on his own and apolitical?
These people are voting for their MMDC and DCEs. If they decide that, you know what, this man is corrupt or this man is not working for us, then they can say next elections he's out. They can choose.
But in effect, isn't that what we have right now?
Are they? Do we have a say in the DCs and MMDCs?
Because if they
no, hang on. Do we have a say in the DCs and MMDCs? Who puts there?
And my question, you understand? If the DC misbehaves and abuses his resources in the constituency, in the district, you punish somebody. You punish the president.
Who do you punish?
You punish the president of the polls.
And has he been punished?
Oh, I mean, isn't that why we changed NDC and MPP over time? In the 2016,
the same thing has been going on because they are still appointing the DCs and MMDCs.
Yeah, I mean, we still sack them and they go with their DCs and MMDCs because we don't like the DCs.
Yes, but these ones come and it doesn't stop the corruption though, does it? We've had this over and over again.
My question is, how does your proposal solve the corruption too?
Well, these people can then fire these people. They voted the person into power. They are responsible for his performance. If his performance is poor, they can vote him out. And I don't come into power and come and thrust someone on them to say, you're answerable
at the national level, we sack the parties at that level all the time. It doesn't stop corruption at the national level. Why would they stop it at the local district level? We sack the president almost every 8 years at least.
Yes.
But that hasn't stopped corruption.
Yes, because we have this duopoly in power. And you haven't had anybody who has come to say, let's do it differently. Because
the people don't see any other alternative in either the PPP, the CPP, or the PNC. So they give it only to the NDC and the MPP.
Well, now they are seeing an alternative. They're seeing an alternative. For 28 years, we've done the same thing. And people are tired of the way things are going and nothing changing. Or things changing at snail's pace. For 28 years, it's more than half my life. And we continue to see this. And we continue to see two parties who are not willing to cede power, who are not willing to do anything about our constitution so that people can get punished when they do wrong. What do they do when they find somebody involved in something?
But if what you're saying,
just move him away,
what you're saying is
and then
true,
we carry on.
If what you're saying is true, why do the people overwhelmingly still vote for the two parties?
Because, look, and I was just saying to someone on my way here that my campaign is probably going to be part civic education. Because people are entrenched in their thinking. People think, I belong to this party, and therefore, right or wrong, I cannot vote in any other way. And they must be educated to say, you must expect more of your leaders. You must ask more of them. You must really, and I think gradually, after 28 years, people are beginning to understand that. But it's going to take time. And this is probably the year where people are going to vote differently.
Really? What about this year?
The PPP is here, which is Dzogbenuku.
But you've always been here. You were there in 2016. You had 1% of the votes.
Yes. This is
what has changed in 4 years?
It changed from Dr. Indom to, obviously.
Dr. Indom arguably had more political clout than yourself.
It's not about a matter of political clout. Well, yes. But Bridget Dzogbenuku also has a great network of people, a great network of following in Ghana.
Well, Dr. Indom had far more of all that you mentioned.
How do you know? Let's vote on December 7th.
He was once a minister of state. He was a leader and flag bearer of the CPP. He founded the party in a PPP. I mean, that track record. In fact, he was as an assemblyman.
Yes,
Before.
that was a lot.
I mean,
yes.
that track record, and yet for him, he still had 1%.
So probably
what
people
more?
don't vote on track record, because if we're going by track record, you would say, for example, that Atta Mills for a while had a long track record. Maybe people don't go by track record. Maybe people go by what they know of you, the person, what you have done, how you've interacted with them, how you have touched their lives.
What have you done?
Well, you read my profile. I've had contact. Like I said, I'm a Ghanaian. I've lived all my life in Ghana. I have a network of people I have worked with, and I have a relationship with. And if I start to recount, even from my childhood, where I've lived, the interaction I've had with the people, the values and the qualities I bring to the table. My schoolmates, my primary schoolmates, my secondary schoolmates, my university, they know me as a person. You know, they know the person. Not, as someone said to me, a woman who is a prime minister of another country. She says, track record and all these things, they are cloaks we wear. It's something you wear and you can take off. What indeed you are is what you are at core. And it's good for people to know what you are at core. And that matters to them a lot more than all these cloaks you put on by your achievements. And that is what I am. And that is what I'm known for.
So 1% from 20, and you were part of that ticket, by the way. So you collectively got 1%. What's the target this year for you? To win the elections?
We want wins in many ways. We are still working on our target, but we want wins in many ways. The ultimate will be to win the elections.
You just became a presidential aspirant or flag bearer.
Yes.
You don't have a target yet for the elections, which is just a little over 2 months away.
Yes, we are working. We haven't even brought out our manifesto yet. We'll bring out our
But I find it very curious. I mean, that with just a little under 3 months ago, you don't have any target yet.
Do you know the target for the NDC or the NPP?
Oh, yeah, they want to win the elections.
Yes, we also want
to win the
elections.
They want to get 50% plus 1.
We also want to win the elections.
But I asked you that, and that's your initial answer. Your initial answer was you want wins in other ways. 50% plus 1. 50 plus for the PPP.
Yes.
You seriously looking me in the eye tonight, just a day or two after you're elected, to say PPP will win 50% plus 1?
You said, what is our target? I said, that is our target.
I'm just, which one is the target? Is it the one that says we are now going to do it, or the one that says
I just said to you 50% plus. You said, what's our target? I said 50% plus 1. And you're saying, you're seriously saying, that is our target. A target is a target. We work towards it.
My curiosity is, why didn't that come to you in the first instance?
Does it matter?
Well, it's about believing that there's a target.
Well, there's a target. A target is a target. You work towards a target. A vision is a vision. You work towards it. You may hit it or you may not hit it.
50% plus 1, it's simply not possible for the PPP.
Why isn't it possible?
Because track record, history says that no other party other than the NDC and NPP.
You don't know what work, and you know,
and also
Ghanaians want something different now.
What different?
Ghanaians are tired of the NPP and the NDC. In fact, we say we will be an amalgam, we'll be a bridge, Bridget, we'll be a bridge between the NDC and the NPP. We'll bring those people who are there in the middle together. Ghanaians are tired of the corruption. They are tired of the division. And we are the ones who are saying, we're going to stop the corruption, we're going to stop the division, we're going to bring Ghanaians together again and give us more hope. So they do want something different. There's so much hopelessness in this country that they want that. They want someone who can tell them that we can do it again. So yes, it might have been 1% then, but we can work towards the 50 plus 1.
How exactly? What base are you tapping into to make you believe that Ghanaians over 4 years will switch from 1% to 50% plus 1?
I'm tapping into the disappointment in what they expected, what we all expected from the NPP that we haven't got. The joblessness, the unemployment, and all the hopes and dreams that have been dashed because they seriously thought that there would be a difference between the NDC and the NPP when they voted in 2016. And obviously, it's both sides, two sides of the same coin.
Aren't you better off forming a coalition with any of these two main parties?
No.
I mean, because the reality is, and when you speak to people and you tell them,
you see,
and you express this target,
what you think is that the PPP wants to be in government or be the government or in government at all costs. We do want to lead this country. We do want to make a difference. But why do we want to go and be in a coalition?
What is wrong with a coalition? It happens in advanced democracy.
There's nothing wrong with a coalition.
It's
just that what we want, that the things we want to do not align with the type of policies or the policies are okay, or the way these people are.
If you don't win power, you cannot implement any of your brilliant ideas.
Well, yes,
you must win
that
first.
Is true. Yes, but that is true.
I mean,
we can't. So we like you said, we are targeting the 50+1.
Let's talk about the strategy, because this year's election party manifestos are issues have been raised. A lot of issues that Ghanaians feel are important to them, that they possibly will look at to say, okay, that's the PPP have a better alternative to what we already have. One of the key issues that has bedeviled many Ghanaians is the economy has been a challenging factor in every election this year again, especially with COVID-19. I am curious to know, with the projection that going forward, COVID is going to make the economy such a tough place. You are an entrepreneur. You run a local economy with your business in Zombian, and etc. What is it? What is your solution to the challenge that we know COVID is posing and will continue to pose to the economy, affecting thousands and millions of lives of people that you seek to lead if you win the power?
You see, the thing is, a lot of the basic things that we ought to have done a long time ago have not been taken care of. I think that I was chatting with someone and we discovered that, for example, our roads, our major roads, we have an N1 and we have an N4, and it turns out we have an N to N16 that have not been developed throughout Ghana to open up the country to business activity. Even my Eastern Corridor, I'm not sure which end that is, which goes all along the Eastern Corridor to the north, has been abandoned since 2011. How then do you expect the economy to open up in that area? You know, so let's go back to the basics and open up the country.
How? There's no funding.
There is funding.
Where is it?
It's in corruption.
Remember that this government, this Sino-Hydro, COVID hit, that gone. Previous governments have tried to get other sources of funding.
You know, there's someone who said that it shouldn't be Ghana beyond aid, it should be Ghana beyond corruption. And maybe we should listen, because the corruption alone and the amount of money it takes away from us per year could start to do certain things.
What different are you going to do to end corruption then? Because you keep on repeating now. I want to hear your specific ideas.
Well, yes. First of all, like I said, we are going back to basics. Our constitution must be reviewed. We have talked about constitutional review.
Which specific aspects you want to review?
You know, there was a whole constitutional review committee that sat down and reviewed the whole constitution, and we packed it and put it away, and because nobody wants to lose power, as it were. But the constitution was done to protect the party in power, particularly the president. And we must go back and look at it and review it so that I've lost the trend of thoughts.
You're talking about corruption here. You're talking about
so that
dealing with corruption.
So that, you know, for example, the Office of the Attorney General is decoupled from the Minister of Justice, so that the Attorney General and the Special Prosecutor are independent enough to prosecute people within the party, the governing party.
The Special Prosecutor is independent and can prosecute anybody.
He's not independent.
What makes him
he's not as independent, and he himself has complained many times about it.
He's independent.
And is he well resourced enough to prosecute the issues?
He is now.
Is he?
He started off shaky, but he is now.
He's what?
He started off shaky, but he is being equipped now.
Oh, really?
With resources. I haven't heard him complain recently in the last year.
You haven't heard him complain recently. So you think that he's resourced, or he's ready to prosecute?
Yes, he is. I mean,
he's not
budget
independent of any time. His LIs are still passed through the Attorney General, from what I know. So you may want to look at that, but he is not. And that is the independence we need so that you can prosecute cases of corruption against government officials when they commit it.
Are you saying that a special prosecutor cannot... The special prosecutor is empowered by the law that sets him up to prosecute anybody he so chooses?
His allies still go through the attorney. He's not that independent. You might want to go back.
Yeah, I mean, the law, sorry, the creation that guarantees his independence has already been passed.
So I wonder, Evans, if
settled.
he's that independent, how come we are not seeing him prosecuting cases? Why are his hands tied?
Well, that is the presidential candidate's job to find and tell me how you're going to fix that.
It is not my job. You are defending him that he's independent.
I'm asking the questions.
I'm telling you that he is not independent.
You say,
and therefore, we must ensure that independence exists.
I guess my question to you is, to January 8th, or January 8th, 2021, if Madam Bridget Dzogbenuku is elected and sworn in, you have the special prosecutor on your hands to do it. You're obviously unhappy with the fact that nothing has happened under him. What do you change about that office to make him effective?
At least I'll give him the free hand by empowering him, by resourcing him, so that he can prosecute the people who have fallen foul of the law.
How? But the law already empowers him. What would you do differently from what exists in the law?
I am saying the man is not empowered. He's not given the free hand to do what he wants to do. He's still under the influence of the Attorney General, who is under the Minister of Defense.
The law that sets him up says the only time he deals with the Attorney General is when he's filing his reports. He just sends the report to the Attorney General. Attorney General has no control over him.
That is not happening. Is it happening? It's not happening.
It is happening.
It's not happening.
As to why he hasn't prosecuted, I don't know. But you are in government, you are the president. I'm saying that day you have that problem. You say you make him more independent. I'm asking why. How? You are saying you don't think you think he's the law guarantees
because he hasn't.
So you give him more resources than he
has. Excuse me?
You give him more resources than he currently has.
I'll give him the resources that will make him work because he needs to work. I will give him the resources, and I'll like I said, the law empowers him, but he is still beholden to the Minister of Justice. In
terms of dealing with corruption, which was your big intervention, is the Special Prosecutor's Office the only solution you propose?
There's also Shraj. I mean, we hear very little of Shraj right now, but obviously, again, maybe because Shraj is not well-resourced or allowed the independence of prosecution. There's Yoko. We haven't heard from them in a long time, but they also are in a position to, probe cases.
Yeah. What about Shraj and the Yoko, though? I mean, we know they are there. What is it what is your plan for them?
Look, you are asking me for the details. Like we are still working indeed on our manifesto. Okay. But the one thing we know we want to do is to make these people independent of the Justice Ministry so that they can prosecute their own cases. And of course, you see, when the ministers or the people in the government are involved, then everything needs to be covered up. For example, there's another way of ensuring that we cut down on the corruption is changing the constitution in a way that the ministers and the parliamentarians, ministers can no longer be parliamentarians. Make ministers independent of being parliamentarians. Because what is happening now is that Parliament is rubber stamping everything. Of course, if you have ministers in the cabinet, a decision is taken. It comes down to Parliament. They all, decide, let's rubber stamp this because it's coming from we are majority and it must go. And that must stop, where ministers are not parliamentarians. So that would be another way to ensure that we have a just and a fair system where government is working and working well.
I want to take a break. When I return, is Ghana ready for a female president? I'll ask Madam Dzogbenuku's thoughts on that. And then also quick fire questions on the subject that the PPP ran on in 2016 about free compulsory universal basic education. It was a big deal for them in 2016. Free SHS has since been implemented. I wonder what her thoughts are on the particular policy and what she will do differently as president if she wins. Stay with me. And you are live on PM Express here on the JoyNews channel. My guest is still the PPP's presidential, the flag bearer of the PPP, Madam Bridget Dzogbenuku. Of course, she'll be filing her nominations if she comes up with 100,000 CDs, and then she'll probably become a candidate whilst that process ends. Madam Dzogbenuku, so let's talk about you and Ghana, because I wonder, is Ghana ready for a female president?
Why not? Are you ready for a female president?
Myself?
Yes.
Well, I'm privileged to be in a position just to ask the question. So I don't have an opinion. Oh,
yes, because you see, you do have an opinion. You seem to have a lot of opinion on all the other things.
Well, I seem to have a lot of questions.
No, you didn't have questions. You actually had opinions. You had opinions, you know. So I ask you.
Is Ghana ready for a female president?
I believe so. I mean, we make up 51% of this country. And if all 51% of the women in this country vote for, well, they are not all votes. Even in the new registration, we found that a woman made up the majority. So if they all go voting for a woman, of course we are ready for a woman candidate.
But not all of them will vote for a woman.
Yes, but some men will vote for us too.
True.
Yes, so who knows if a majority of the women vote and the men vote. But Ghana must be ready for a female president. The women make up, in the informal sector, up to almost 75%. So why not? If you have women in leadership, won't it be better? Why are we cutting out women in leadership? Shouldn't we have like 50-50? And if we have 50-50 of women in leadership in parliament, and if we have the opportunity to vote for our own DCs and MMDCs, we ensure that we put in a lot more women there. Why won't we be ready for a woman president? We should be ready for a woman president.
I mean, beyond the fact that you are in the population, you are in the majority.
Yes, we are.
What else? What are they? I wonder what there must be some
what is
tangible...
what is the best reason that the fact that we are in the majority and therefore it actually tells me that you are not ready for a woman president. You see, and that is the chauvinist thing about this and misogynist ways of this country.
Fortunately for me, I'm just asking
the question. Because we are in the majority, so we should lead. No, but we make up a lot more of the informal sector that is touted as driving the growth of this country. And we should be in decision-making positions. Are you suggesting
that merely because she's a woman, she must vote for another woman?
No, I'm not saying so. I didn't say that. You are saying so.
You're saying that because you are 51%, then, you know, naturally, then we should.
I'm not saying that naturally we should vote for another one. I'm saying we are in 51%, and therefore we should be taking up leadership positions.
Yeah, you have taken up leadership position. You have taken it.
Yes, I've taken it up.
That's different from actually getting the votes of the people to become.
What was it? 13% of women is it 13 or whatever percent in parliament?
Yeah.
And in local governments, probably even less. We should need to push a lot more women in there. And yes, if we look at it critically and look at how much we contribute to the economy of this country, women should be in leadership, and we should be ready to be putting women in leadership.
I don't think anybody is against the fact that women should be in leadership, because this is a competitive...
Sounds like to me that like you are, though.
Well, this is a competitive electoral, and it must be on merit, not because you're a woman.
Of course, you don't agree? I'm the first one to tell you that I do not want to be there because of a token, because I'm being shown off as a woman being there.
Yeah.
I want to be put there because of merit.
So my question.
But let me take you back and ask, when was the last time things were done in this country on merit?
So you're saying this country is not a meritocracy?
Well, we rubbished that in 1979 when we went on a coup and pulled everybody down. And we have people in power right now who are not there because of merit, but they are there because they belong to some political party or other. When did we do that? But we will do it. We will put people there because on merit.
Let me ask you, you have to nominate or appoint a running mate.
Yes.
Have you thought about that yet? And
yes, and the person will come up soon.
You have a name you have a name up yet?
I'm not going to tell you now.
I'm just asking a question.
Yes, we do, but I'm not going to tell you now. We will bring the person up.
What qualities are you looking for?
Well, similar qualities: honesty, integrity. You frown at honesty, integrity. You don't like that?
I'm just sitting straight.
No, you're not sitting straight. You frowned at it. You see, this is it.
I'm just
sitting
straight.
Well, is that too much to ask of someone who's honest and has integrity?
You're stating the other qualities that you have.
Yes, honesty, integrity, someone who, of course, has some level of knowledge and is interested in the ideals of the party.
Another woman?
Yes. Possibly not, because there are men in the country as well.
No, but you are a gender champion.
Yes, but I believe in gender equality. I don't believe in one-sided gender.
We've had two men on the ticket for so long. Why can't we have two women on the ticket?
Let's balance it out. That is what is wrong with the two men on the ticket or two of the same on the tickets. Let's balance it out.
But isn't that what affirmative action is all about?
This is what the PPP has. Affirmative action is looking for equity. In the fact that, yes, you have cut us out even though we are 51%. And we are saying we want an even keel here.
Finally, just before we go, I mean, when you ran in 2016 with Dr. Pakwesi, one of the key things you ran on was free universal basic education, FQ. Since then, the landscape has changed because there's free SHS now. What's your take on the free SHS and what differently do you plan to do? Well,
SHS is not a bad policy. There may be problems with the implementation and big ones at that, but it's not a bad policy. But we still believe in FQ. Very recently, I think a week or two ago, it came out that children up to primary 6 could not read and write in Ghana. That was the standard. And that is because the education at that level has not been, is not good quality, it's not standardized, and it's not compulsory as it says in FQ. So we are riding on the fact that we are going to make the basic education compulsory and make sure that children all stay in school. We also want to...
But make it free.
Yes, but of course it says free.
So you're going to make school the entire, from kindergarten all the way to what, junior high school, free?
Yes, but that exists already. Free compulsory universal basic education exists. It's the compulsory that is not enforced.
Well, it's free in, as some say, in not in reality, because parents still at the level.
Well, it's probably because the governments that you favor most have not ensured what to do right.
And you change it how?
Well, we will make it free as it is. They don't have the will to make it free. You standardize education. Look, I went to public school, and I was sure at the time that if I left my school, pretty much, I went to Burma Camp public military primary school, but the education was so standard that I made it into Wesley Girls High School with those who went to all the private schools, and that is what we want. We want a standard where whether you go to us, I don't know whether if you went to Keta or to Rio, so it's the same kind of education that you had, or Gambaga or Accra, as the song of some schools go. The education is so standardized that you can take a child from here and tomorrow he goes into another class there and he's learning the same thing. So we want that standard. We want quality schools where the education is holistic. Now sports is not a big deal. Nobody plays sports anymore. So I would have been a very miserable child if I was
because you're an
at that
athlete,
time.
And I'm not surprised that you went there, but I'm grateful that you joined me on PM Express. I look to have you back once you filed your papers and you chose your running mate. Looking forward to see who that person is, he or she. And that is Bridget Dzogbenuku, my guest on PMS. Join us again tomorrow on the edition. Enjoy the rest of the evening.